Veterans, our hometown heroes. Tonight, their stories of sacrifice, courage, camaraderie, and patriotism. Local 5 is proud to bring you Salute to Veterans, honoring those who served.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for our Salute to Veterans special. I'm Tom Zaleski.
And I'm a U.S. Air Force mom. I'm Michelle McCormack. Thank you so much for being with us. Tonight we honor the ones who serve and sacrifice. For the next hour, Local 5 will highlight veterans right here from Northeast Wisconsin and show you the many ways they continue to serve and inspire. Each Veterans Day, Local 5 teams up with the Vietnam Veterans of America Chapter 224 Honor Guard for a live tribute.
And tonight we are live at the Brown County Veterans Memorial for this year's Honor Guard ceremony, and we take you there live right now.
Honor detail, attend hut, port, arms, ready, fire, ready, fire, ready, fire, present, arms.
Vietnam Veterans Chapter 224 Honor Guard, and we thank them for their service. We continue on. All around the country, we pause to honor those who have served in the U.S. military.
The observances take many forms. Bradley Blackburn shows us the array of events, including the largest parade in the country in New York City.
With a service member holding her umbrella, Vice President Kamala Harris laid a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery on a rainy Veterans Day. The ceremony was held without President Biden, who paid his respects from the UN climate talks in Egypt.
America's veterans and their families, survivors and caregivers, are the very spine and soul of the United States.
This Veterans Day marks the 40th anniversary of the dedication of the National Vietnam Veterans Memorial Wall.
Standing at the wall, hand outstretched, we feel that the sacrifices of these 58,281 fallen Americans remain with us.
From Houston to Chicago to Baltimore, cities and towns across the U.S. honored the service and sacrifice of our military veterans.
Hey! Fire!
In New York City, the United War Veterans Council held a ceremony followed by a parade.
I came to represent all the veterans, let them know that our country is with us.
A little rain can't stop what is the largest Veterans Day parade in the country. 20,000 marchers here on New York's Fifth Avenue, representing every branch of the military.
These guys, they give their lives.
101-year-old Dominic Citrelli flew in Europe in World War II.
What we did was worthwhile, and what we're trying to do is going to be even better.
Like many veterans, he says if he had to, he would do it again. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
There were 16.5 million military veterans in the U.S. in 2021, according to the U.S. Census.
After the break, despite losing his brother, this Vietnam veteran still has a lot of love to give.
Caitlin Corbett shows us the story of a veteran who gives back after overcoming tragedy, how he's helping other veterans.
The The World War II movie Saving Private Ryan focused on the sacrifice of a single American family who lost 3 of their 4 sons in combat.
For a Northeast Wisconsin veteran, the story tragically rings true of keeping a son alive. Local 5's Caitlin Corbett is here with a very personal story of triumph over tragedy. Caitlin.
Not many veterans can say they were sent to Vietnam with their twin brother. Fond du Lac's Terry Judkins reflects now on the loss of his twin brother Larry and the love he has to give back to others today.
At that time, we thought if our country was going to war, there was patriotism at that time.
When Terry Judkins says we, he's referring to he and his twin brother Larry, both who enlisted in the armed forces in the Vietnam War in 1966.
I said to Larry that, I'm going to go get this thing over with. I'm going to serve, take my chances. He said, well, I am, but I'm not going in the Army. I'm going in the Navy, because he wanted to be a medical corpsman.
So in '66, Terry was headed with the Army to Vietnam. He was tasked with a group of engineers and mechanics whose job was to keep artillery firing on all cylinders, delivering parts to soldiers out in the field.
It might be a secure site north, or we go right to the guns. You can grow up real quick in Vietnam. It doesn't take long. You can only hide behind the rock so long. Pretty soon your nose has got to come up.
Things changed when Larry made it over to Vietnam. When Larry enlisted in the Navy, what he didn't realize was that the Navy was still a part of the Marine Corps, and he was stationed as a medic in the much more dangerous area of Da Nang.
Now, he's out there on search and destroy. It's a completely different story. So my goal was to get him out of country. I saw no reason to have my mother go through having twins in Vietnam, okay? It was wrong in the first place, okay?
Letters upon letters to a Wisconsin senator asking for Larry to be sent home from Vietnam went unanswered. And finally, Terry's time overseas was up. But what was supposed to be a joyful day on February 10th, 1967, a long-awaited homecoming, ended up being a day that changed Terry's life forever. Larry was killed that same morning in friendly fire.
Larry was killed, I think, about 6 a.m. that morning, and I left 9 o'clock. And, you're just so full of joy when you leave that country. I had no idea. I didn't find out till I hit California.
Terry said he never looked back at Vietnam much, and he spends his time now giving back to others through his local church and Broken Bread Food Pantry in Fond du Lac. Larry had his whole life to live, but Terry is still busy living his for those like Larry and so many others.
Well, it's, he's around me all the time. He is. It gives you a real good sense of how lucky we are to be alive. And make sure you appreciate every day.
And we thank you for your service, Terry. And Terry went on the Old Glory Honor Flight this past May, where he finally got to see his brother Larry's name on the Vietnam Memorial Wall.
Beautifully told story. Thank you, Caitlin. In fact, Local 5 has covered many honor flights through the years, and we often hear the veterans, you remember this, Tom, they speak about the brotherhood. The story may stand out, this one in particular, when it comes to the meaning of such a phrase.
Yeah, the Kemmeth brothers from De Pere, they served in different branches of the military, and last month they took off together from Appleton International Airport to see the military monuments in Washington, D.C. Now, their goal is to make sure they see the name of their uncle on the new monument that honors those who made the ultimate sacrifice during the Korean War.
Our uncle is on that wall, and I'm the oldest one in the whole family, and I remember him, and it was very important for us to go.
We're going to go there and pay tribute to him.
Yeah.
And the brothers say seeing a loved one's name honored in this way helps to bring some closure.
There are veterans who serve our country and veterans who then serve other veterans.
Coming up, the Brown County Director of Veterans Services in Green Bay is here to talk about the valuable services that his organization offers for veterans who are transitioning to civilian life. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Local 5 Salute to Veterans. Here with us now is the veteran who every veteran should know. If there's a resource for you, he can help you find it.
Brown County Veterans Services Director Joe Aulick here once again. Joe joined us last year for our Veterans Special right here. First thing, Joe, thank you for your service. Much appreciated
Thank
having
you.
you back here again with us. You
Glad
launched
to be back.
Operation Green Light is what you launched. Tell us about that. What's the meaning behind it?
Yeah, so Operation Greenlight was an initiative from the National Counties Association, and they asked all counties to light their buildings green. So it's, the way I looked at it, it was a green light for veterans to know that they're honored, and also a green light to go after their benefits.
And that's an important point, I think, that you make. A lot of people don't know that the benefits that are here, that are available to them, and even some new benefits now.
Right. The statistics tell us that over 50% of veterans were unaware of their benefits. And now with the passage of this new legislation in August, the PACT Act they call it, guaranteed over 100% of veterans aren't aware of what's in that PACT Act.
There are veterans out there, Joe, who say, I am not in dire enough straits to get help through your services. Right. What do you say to those people?
Well, I say that your fellow brothers and sisters have served this country and earned those entitlements for us to go after and receive those entitlements. So, and we hear that a lot, Tom. Veterans, someone else needs it worse than I do. But all veterans are entitled to these things, and all veterans can benefit from these things, and their families can benefit too.
We keep hearing, though, about the continuing challenges, about PTSD, veteran suicide. It's something very close to your heart and your mission. Compared with last year, do you see more veterans reaching out for help now?
You do. With the also the new legislation that passed, the 988 number that's out there. They can dial 988, press 1 for veterans. It's an easy call for them. So. Of course, COVID was a very stressful time for a lot of veterans because they couldn't get out and see their brothers and sisters. So we see that veterans, because of the legislation and a lot of the commercials on TV for Camp Lejeune, are calling our office and seeking help.
So it seems, Joe, that if a person is in transition, you either have a program or something to facilitate that transition.
Right. When a veteran is, or a newly discharged member is getting out of the service, we can help them transition to civilian life, hook them up with resources, employment resources, get them connected with their VA benefits as service-connected disabilities and things like that.
You know, often my son, he says, please don't talk about my service on television, but I do it anyhow. What does Veterans Day really mean to our military who are serving now, to our veterans who have served? Is it important for them? Are they embarrassed by this? Yeah. Do we really need to keep focusing on the celebration aspect?
Yes, we need to celebrate our veterans who are here with us today. That's what Veterans Day is about. Memorial Day we have, this is a somber day to remember those who we lost. But Veterans Day is to remember those who are here with us and honor those who have served, because those who are serving now, like your son, will one day be a veteran, and it gives them that motivation to continue to serve, that, hey, their nation is honoring those who have served.
Any programs you have going, Joe, that you want to highlight particularly, specifically?
So the one program that I just mentioned, the PACT Act, was legislation that was recently signed on August 15th. That opened the door for Agent Orange exposure to Cambodia, Thailand, and Guam, and added another condition to that list of 55 conditions that Agent Orange can cause, which is high blood pressure. And then also for those who served in the Middle East, Afghanistan, and Iraq, they added 32 different cancers, and also COPD, asthma, sinusitis, rhinitis, all these conditions, because of all the toxic air that they inhaled over there, has negatively affected their health. We can hook them up with VA services and get that help. And then also, we also encourage veterans to call our office, get a hold of the golden ticket of benefits that I created, and we get them out and get that in their hands. It's 29 core benefits that they can read and understand, and we can connect them with those benefits.
You really found purpose after service. Now, it's related to military service, but what is your message to veterans who might be struggling to figure out the next chapter in their life now that they no longer wear the uniform?
Yeah. My message is contact your county veteran service officer or your tribal veteran service officer. We can sit down, we can explore resources, our staffs can explore resources, and then give them those pathways, whether it's education, disability compensation, health care, right? To give them a better quality of life, help their families, give them a better quality of life, and keep the passion going.
Joe Olick of Brown County Veteran Services, you have the passion to keep it going.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much
Joe.
for all you do for our veterans.
Well, thank you, and thank you for being an Air Force mom.
Go Air Force. We can't help ourselves. If you're in the Air Force family, you have to remind everyone.
That's for
Sorry.
sure. You know, the Fox Valley is also paying tribute to local veterans.
Local 5's Bryce Oselin spoke with veterans and the Fox Valley Veteran Council on why everyone should honor veterans on this, their special day.
Fox Valley residents honored veterans during a ceremony today. They say it's important to acknowledge the sacrifices made by those who serve.
So Veterans Day is very important because it's a day for us to celebrate our freedoms that many veterans have fought for.
The Fox Valley Veteran Council's tribute event took place at the old Outagamie County Courthouse. Veteran Dennis O'Connor served for 30 years and says he did it proudly for American citizens.
The title for me is important because I've served for not only for my family, my friends, my neighbors, just everybody, so that they can step out of their house, can go on vacations, they can go anything, do what they want, we can do it safely.
Timothy Cody, president of the Fox Valley Veteran Council, says veterans sacrifice more than we will ever know.
Taking you away from home, taking you away from your job, and to the ultimate end, you know, you can lose your life for your nation. But each veteran at one point in time or another has said, that's me, I will do that.
Cody says as people across the country celebrate Veterans Day, there's only one true way to honor those serving.
You can buy them a meal, you can do all those things, but the most important thing is to be the citizen, the American citizen, that makes us proud to have served for you. To be that citizen. That's the most important thing.
In Fox Valley, Bryce Oselin, Local 5 News.
Bryce, thank you. Rifle Guard American Legion Post 38 supported that event along with other veteran service organizations.
Stay with us. Our salute to veterans. We'll be right back.
Local 5 is proud to be celebrating Veterans Day with all of our military families and our viewers.
Honoring our military is a weekly commitment here at Local 5 with our Hometown Heroes features every Friday. Local 5's Caitlin Corbett, who shoots, edits, and writes all of those features, joins us now to share more memories of the stories she's collected over the past year. Hello, Caitlin.
Hello, guys. 25 years of service in the Air Force is a cause for celebration. Manitowoc's Krista Collier called it a career in front of her family and friends, and now she's taking the time to reflect and share her story.
Military recruiters come to high schools, right, to say, hey, have you ever thought about military service? And an Air Force recruiter had come into the school and kind of talked to me about things. I could travel, I could get money for school. I thought, hey, 4 years is nothing. So I joined for a 4-year enlistment, and then 25 years later, here I am.
Manitowoc native Krista Collier never knew she would one day become one of those recruiters. 25 years, several moves both across the country and up in the ranks. Collier is finally ready to enter the realm of the veteran world. But back in '97, while her friends were enjoying the summer before college, she was off to begin her story with the Air Force.
My friends were leaving for college literally in August. I was shipping out for basic training. So I was going through kind of similar things that my friends were going through college, just at a much faster pace and a little bit more structured than what college life is.
15 of those 25 years were spent in recruiting, where Collier found her passion. Working with civilians standing in the same position she once stood before joining, Collier worked her way up to the rank of Chief Master Sergeant.
It was hard. So, but at the end of the day, I guarantee you up until my last duty day, nobody outworked me. So I just outstudied everybody, I outworked everybody, and basically I just did the right thing all the time, right? My motto, I have a Chief's coin that says, do what's right, not what's easy. And as long as you live by that motto and you take care of people, as a leader, once I got into leadership, you take care of your airmen will take care of you, and it worked from there.
Although her retirement officially begins in January, Collier retired in front of family and friends in a Manitowoc ceremony. Now, Collier's ready to join the veteran community, but the military will always be in her blood.
The days are super long, but the years flew by. Like, I can't believe that 25 years later, I'm here retiring. 100% I'll miss it, but at the end of the day, I know I'm passing the baton to the next generation who's going to be able to continue to support and defend our country.
And as she mentioned, Krista officially retires in January, and she plans to spend much more time with her family.
Oh, do what's right, not what's easy.
Yeah.
What a phrase. Thanks, Caitlin. You know, we cover groups that help veterans suffering from PTSD and other mental health issues that come with serving. And tonight we take a trip to South Carolina, where there's a group focusing on helping female veterans in the service.
She's the Veteran is a group that focuses on issues facing women who serve and who have served. The help comes in many forms, mostly centered around an activity that gets veterans enjoying the outdoors, including fishing, sailing, and horseback riding.
PTSD is both underdiagnosed and undertreated in the female veteran. So that was a really important subject to me based on my own experience and seeing what women had gone through.
And the need is there. Several hundred women veterans regularly participate in activities organized by She's the Veteran. And stay with us. Local 5 Salute to Veterans. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Local 5 Salute to Veterans. Now, you know, it's one thing to thank a veteran for their service.
It's quite another to make serving veterans your life mission. John Mano, the executive director of Wisconsin Veterans Village in Appleton, joins us now here in the studio. Hello.
Hello, Michelle. How are you?
Oh, so feeling good.
Who's that guy next to you?
About the appreciation for veterans everywhere throughout Northeast Wisconsin. I know you guys go way back.
Back a few years.
You know, when we last spoke, though, there were big plans to expand the facility with just under 50 housing units.
Yeah.
How's it going?
It's going very well. We're starting our capital campaign in 2023, and we've got all the plans drawn up, a beautiful 39 apartment unit for seniors, underground parking, elevators, things like that, and then a 10-room honor home to help some of the less fortunate that need extra care down the stretch, basically, of their life. So really exciting what's happening.
So, John, this is more than housing. What you're doing there is forming a community.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Tom. And in fact, right now, they're all munching down on turkey and hams and all sorts of things. The Daughters of the American Revolution are there right now feeding these people like you can't believe. And that's one of the things we really try to foster, that it's a veteran-centric community. And, you know, we had one of our gentlemen one time who was going to go to a different place and asked if he could stay because he said he's never had people who had his back better than they have their backs at this place. It's called, you know, having your six, watching your buddy's back. And that's kind of the relationship that's been fostered.
Wow, how gratifying that must be. But this is a lot of work, though. You are renovating, rehabbing these units, making them modern. That's a lot of work. How do you do it?
Well, it really is, but it's one of those things where, you know, people are so excited when we do take a unit and renovate it. It's almost like brand new. I mean, it's incredible. New floor, new appliances, new cabinets, everything's brand new. And they just, you know, a lot of these people maybe hadn't been in some place like this for quite some time. So that's the fun part of it, you know, starting out fresh and developing these relationships with other veterans.
You know, John, for such a long time, you've been an ambassador for veterans. You've kind of been their voice. What are you hearing? What are you feeling from them when we say thank you for your service? Do they feel that's lip service, or do they feel America is truly behind them and taking care of them as you are?
Yeah, great question. You know, I spoke last night to a group, and a lot of them were Vietnam veterans. And, you know, I did say, hey, welcome home. I hope that's not corny. So we will never get tired of hearing that, because it took 40 years before the first time we ever heard it. So please tell people, especially with the Vietnam vets, to welcome home. And with the Vietnam vets, what they are just adamant about is that as horrifically as some of them were treated when they came back from Vietnam, that will never, ever happen again to a veteran. They are on a mission that our young veterans, like your son or whomever, they are welcomed home with the dignity and observation of their service and sacrifice to our country that those Vietnam vets did not get.
Very important for our service members who served in Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
And Iraq as well.
That's exactly correct. They will make sure they will never leave another man or woman behind that raised their right hand and said they were going to serve our country.
You know, John, you've worked obviously in television, because you worked in this very studio with all of us.
I'm actually wearing some of your makeup from the back room.
And we both need it. and you were in radio. You had a few other endeavors. You've got a few books that are out. Where does your passion come from for what you do for veterans?
You know, Tom, I've always been kind of a history buff, and that's why I wrote the books, obviously, on World War II veterans, Korea, Vietnam. But I had 3 brothers that all served when I was growing up, and that really meant a lot to me. And then when I graduated from high school, Vietnam was just ending and everything, so I didn't go in. But watching those guys serve their country, 3-year hitches, a 9-year span, that made a big impact on me. And just even, not even those guys in uniform, but knowing what a family goes through, what my mom would go through, knowing they're deployed someplace. I mean, it's not just that individual in uniform off someplace, it's a whole family element that really serves our country, I feel, when somebody's going off to serve their country.
And I think we've gotten, and rightfully so, accurate in our portrayals of what military life is.
Yes.
Too often it's painted with a brushstroke of heroism, and that's a lot of pressure for somebody who's just getting out of tech school.
No, you're exactly correct. And you know, one of the things that, Channel 5 sent me over to Iraq one time and Afghanistan and everything. And the number one thing I came away from there is, we see on the national media sometimes these guys in the full body gear and, kicking indoors or doing whatever during the heat of the Iraq-Afghanistan wars. And I remember I brought over a bunch of Brewer T-shirts and Packer T-shirts, and they were wearing those around the base over there. And it's like, they should be cutting grandma's grass next door. I mean, that's what we send to war. It's incredible what we send to war. So that's the number one thing I came away from. They're not superhuman. They're not G.I. Joes. They're just wonderful young Americans that had the courage to raise that hand and go off to some far-off land and do whatever it was they were told to do.
You got bigger dreams for the village?
Well, we really do. In fact, we hope to expand big time because this is something that's so well needed. It's affordable housing. We don't call it low income or anything like that, just affordable housing. We have some different regulations, but it's needed throughout the state of Wisconsin. So we have very, very ambitious plans to keep this going.
And we salute you for it.
Thank you.
John Mino, good seeing you.
Great seeing you, Z.
Thanks for being here.
You got it, buddy.
John Mino of Appleton's Veterans Village, thank you so much for joining us and for creating such a wonderful living space for our military. Now to Veterans Day observances in our state capitol.
Governor Tony Evers recognized and thanked the many veterans around the country and here in the state. He talked about the work going on with the Blue Ribbon Commission to help push money to veteran services to help the homeless veterans, and help them find shelter, and unemployed veterans to find work.
Just as our veterans have upheld and defended the freedoms and values we hold dear, we must also uphold our commitment to ensuring both they and their families have the full range of support and services needed to thrive.
And the governor added that while this work is good, there is still work to do to make sure the veterans are in a good place. Well, coming up, paying tribute through song when Local 5's Salute to Veterans return.
We'll take a look and listen to the unique way a group honors our veterans. Stay with us. We're back right after this. And a special Veterans Day thank you for our station General Manager Judson Beck. Thank you, sir, for your service. Welcome back to Local 5 Salute to Veterans. So often this holiday is marked with speeches.
But tribute can also come in the form of song as a unique way to say thank you to these veterans. Local 5's Bert Griffin, he's live right now at the Epic Event Center to tell us more about that. Hiya, Bert.
It's the only people you want on camera. Well, that's right, Tom and Michelle. We are at the Epic Event Center where it is a big evening for a variety of reasons. And Veterans Day means so many different things to so many different people. Joining me now to talk about that, Bob Leonard, one of the organizers, or I would say the main organizer of the entire event. Not that. I give too many other people credit for that one. Plenty of local ties here to the state of Wisconsin. Songwriting, country music, and the love of the military and veterans in particular. Tell us about what Operation Song is and what it means to you and everyone involved.
Yeah, Operation Song has been around for about 10 years. Started by a legendary country songwriter in Nashville. I live in Nashville myself. And we do this, we travel, do retreats for veterans. We pair them with Nashville songwriters. And a lot of times it's for veterans that need to get something out of their head. Sometimes it's history to share. Sometimes it's a healing event, whatever the story is. Songwriters are looking for content, and it's a really good marriage that Bob discovered when he was doing USO tours back in the day.
It's a way to put those thoughts and feelings not only to paper, but to the ear. And these musicians and songwriters are as top-notch as they get, aren't they?
Oh, they are. Yeah, we brought some heavy hitters tonight, and they'll hear it. Something in Nashville very popular is called Songwriter in the Round. So you're going to hear some of our Operation Song songs, and then we've got 3 heavy hitters joining us tonight with a lot of the big hits that the crowd will know.
Well, everyone will hear something special and unique tonight, that's for sure.
They're going to be performing some of those songs. We have a local veteran who got with one of these songwriters. A song was written about his story, the story that he wanted to tell about his service time.
One of the songs in particular, I won't give away the whole story, but we actually wrote with a buddy of mine, Chris Cappers, who's a retired Green Beret and also worked for the CIA in Afghanistan. We wrote an incredible song about, it's kind of a rescue song, and I'll leave it at that, so you're going to have to come and hear the rest of the story tonight.
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the event is about to begin. They can come out to what time tonight? Just a handful of tickets still available, right?
Yeah, we're going till 9:30 tonight, but tickets are still amazing. We'd love to see some vets come, and they're on us if they show up. So.
All right, Bob, appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Bert.
All right, reporting live from the Epic Event Center on our Veterans Day special, I'm Bert Griffin.
Thank you so much, Burke. You know, it opens the veteran stories to a completely different audience. Not everybody can sit down and watch a program or read a book or feel like they're not ready to take the heavy themes that sometimes come with military life. I think song makes it easier to bridge that gap.
Therapy through music.
Love it.
Yeah.
Oshano Middle School also got a special guest that had hundreds of students looking to the skies. Local 5 News was there when a Wisconsin National Guard Black Hawk helicopter touched down on the football field near the Oshano Community Middle School. The students got the chance to speak with the pilots and a retired brigadier general, plus take a look inside the chopper and learn what it truly means to serve our country.
The kids were excited all week for it. We talked about it as a school. We talked about what it means to be veterans and what Veterans Day means.
Obviously seeing kids' smiling faces and seeing them when we're in the air coming into land is super cool, but then seeing them on the ground, and then they always have questions, and no matter what question it is, there's always one that kind of stumps all of us on the crew. So these kids are creative, they're smart, and they have a bright future ahead of them.
Kind of cool experience seeing a helicopter fly so low over your head.
The National Guard also brought a Humvee, but as you can see, the students were more interested in the Black Hawk.
Well, that's for sure. Well, up next, we've got a story that shows the real meaning of the term man's best friend.
How veterans are getting comfort with the help of their four-legged friends. Stay with us in our Salute to Veterans.
We've got a story that shows the real meaning of the term man's best friend.
And how veterans are getting comfort with the help of their four-legged friends. Local 5's Caitlin Corbett is here again. Take it from here, Caitlin.
Yes, it is a true example of that, Tom and Michelle. Oshkosh's Joe Wester tells us his story of going from rock bottom when he got out of the service to turning his life around with a little help from a friend.
I told myself that if I saw anything that would help me or could help me, that I would take it.
For Coast Guard vet Joe Wester, that sign turned out to be man's best friend, a dog named Betsy. But their journey to each other wasn't so easy. Nearly 12 years in the Coast Guard, saving lives when a tragic accident changed Wester's forever. Suffering from trauma both physically and mentally, and an identity built around the Coast Guard, Wester wasn't sure what was next.
And that was it. I was still going through some medical issues. I still had some injuries that I was healing from. And once I got my DD-214, I was out. Well, I didn't really have a life before the service. I was a high school student and I got out. So I didn't have that ability to kind of like mature outside of the military. To me, everything was the Coast Guard. That was what I kind of matured into.
It left Wester lost.
I made a plan to end my life. I was going to take my life. I could not find a way out of this. I I couldn't find a way out of that hole. It was very dark.
And on the day he was set to take his own life, a soda cup at a Firehouse Subs in Oshkosh is perhaps what saved his life. The cup featured an ad for Canines for Warriors, an organization that pairs veterans with service dogs like Betsy.
I saw the cup, you know, and it's a big emotional thing. It's just like, when you make a decision like that, it's a, you know, it's very serious. It's a very heavy weight. And to me, that cup was kind of like over the top moment.
The day Wester's life would begin to change. He entered the program with Canines for Warriors and found his way to Betsy, his now full-time companion. Wester started to see life through a different lens.
I would not have survived, so had it not been for the cup and the call, I wouldn't be here. It's like a wound that heals. You don't realize that it's good until you take the Band-Aid off. After about a year is when it kind of like it sunk in. Like we were part of a team. Like we can work together.
And they do work together every day. Betsy travels to work with Wester at his job as a tool designer at Oshkosh Defense. She's there in his moments of need, and Wester wants other vets who are struggling to know that there is help when they're in need too.
Talking is such a powerful thing because you're not just letting yourself out, you're letting other people in, and sometimes that's kind of what needs to happen. And in my case, I needed to know that there were other people out there that could support me in a time when I needed support.
Even if that someone is a four-legged friend.
And we thank you for your service, Joe. And don't forget that if you know someone who you would like to nominate for our Hometown Heroes segments, you can send an email to WFRV, hometownheroes@wearegreenbay.com.
Boy, thanks, Caitlin. Frightening to hear him say, without the cup, I wouldn't be here.
So glad he's here.
But he's here. Good for you. All right. The Packers' Aaron Jones, he visited Patriot Canines of Wisconsin. It's in Wausau, and that's the pet charity of the Green Bay Packers this month.
Jones, I'm sure you know this, comes from a military family. Both of his parents and his brother served. The running back is serving as the team spokesperson for November's Salute to Service. He says his mom, who served 27 years in the Army, will be getting her own service dog very soon.
You know, sometimes she's by herself, so that just having that dog there with you who knows you, kind of like your kids do, it goes a long way.
I just think it's really great that a small organization like this can be boosted by a big organization like the Green Bay Packers, and having a player like Aaron Jones here, I mean, it means a lot.
Salute to Service bandanas are selling for $10 in the Packers Pro Shop. $5 from each sale will go to Patriot Canines, and whatever number that is at the end of November will be matched by Fleet Farm. They're perfect Christmas gifts for all the Bears fans in your lives, because their dogs still wear them.
They love it, yeah. Well, after the break, what it means to be a veteran and a friend to veterans.
We'll visit with the Northeast Wisconsin man who does that day in and day out. You'll want to hear what he has to say when our Salute to Veterans continues.
And welcome back to Local 5 Salute to Veterans. I am here with two veterans today. We have John Kaler and Jack Boyd. Thank you guys so much for being here today, and thank you for your service.
Thank you for mentioning that to us.
And so you both are very involved with what we see right here, Vets and Friends of Wisconsin. Now, for someone who doesn't know what this is, tell us what this group is all about.
Well, first of all, the Vets and Friends organization began about 5 years ago as a nonprofit organization to support veterans who is in need of food and also having a good hot meal. So 5 years ago, we basically started about 5 or 6 veterans, and they came in on a Saturday noon to have soup and sandwich, basically. But it has really grown over the past 5 years to where now we have over 1,000 members, and we're serving roughly 140 veterans and families on a weekend for Fridays and Saturdays.
And so what was it in the community that you guys really saw this need for veterans to have a place like this to go?
Well, I think it was because I saw a need when I was a member of the VFW, and there was a couple other veterans that had started another group called the Dry Hooch. Well, that didn't go off the ground very well, and I said there is still a real need for having some type of an organization to provide a social environment, a network where people can come and just interact and not be involved with all the minutia of a national organization. We're a local organization providing these services of food and hot meals on a weekend.
And now I know both of you are there very often, all the time. What does it feel like to see so many people come in and have this place to really socialize, find that camaraderie that it can be often kind of hard for veterans to find?
Well, you just feel the love when you come into the place. It just is wonderful. There's no politics, no agenda. It's just sit down, enjoy the wonderful meal that the women make for us, and all of the volunteers, and it just works. It clicks. There's no bureaucracy or anything like that. It's just good people working with good vets, and you've been there yourself, I know, and you can't leave that place without feeling really good.
And another part of this is that you also go and do some educational things. You go into schools, you plan different groups with some of the veterans that are involved in Vets and Friends. Tell us a bit about that and how that all started.
Well, I can tell you about the Reflections of Vietnam. Some of our Vets and Friends people are in the VVA, and we go to a number of different high schools, and then UW Green Bay and Oshkosh, and just about every high school in the Fox cities. And every veteran has a story to tell, regardless of, if you were in combat or you never left the States. And students and the general public are very interested in that. And it's good for the students. It's good for the teachers, because sometimes they don't know anything about the Vietnam War either. And it serves as a catharsis for vets.
And you say every story, or every veteran has a story to tell. That's part of what we do with our Hometown Hero segment, which has been featured in this special. You two have both helped me tremendously connecting with veterans in our community to find these stories. Obviously, both of you know Vietnam veterans. A lot of them haven't wanted to talk about this. A lot of them, it's taken a long time. What has it done, this segment, and I talked to all of them. They're able to open up. What have you seen this do for some of the veterans?
I think it's important that it's not Vietnam veterans entirely, because we got veterans in their 20s to up to age 100 years old. So we have a spectrum of a lot of different veterans in all different ages, and we all get along, and we want to hear their stories as well. And so that's the magic part of what's going on. I mean, really, we were serving only a few people many years ago, and now we're serving close to 140. I can see our membership being 1,000 members in another year, because it's word of mouth saying that we have a service that they really enjoy being part of. So they're not obligations where you join an organization, you're obligated to do something. Well, here you could decide at your level of what you want to, how you want to support us.
And you have a cup of coffee and a nice warm meal. And I've seen World War II veterans have been at Vets and Friends. Go for it. It's every range of veterans that you could find there, and that's what you guys love to see.
And we have
is
a lot
everyone
of
coming together.
women also come to our veterans. For example, yesterday there was a lady I took to the Marine Corps birthday party, and we have a number of women who are veterans as well. So we encourage that if you're a veteran, if you feel somewhat intimidated about being by yourself, bring a friend or bring your spouse. Of course, sometimes it's difficult for that to happen, but again, it does happen, and so even grandkids come.
Everyone
Nobody
is welcome.
gets turned away.
We don't turn people away.
No.
That's why it's called Vets and Friends in Appleton. Feel free to stop by. It is open to everyone. John Kaler and Jack Voigt of Vets and Friends, thank you two so much for joining us. And again, thank you for your service.
Thank you for joining us.
Caitlin, gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Many organizations are showing their appreciation for those who served. And Tundraland, boy, they came through for one veteran yesterday.
Yeah, this Green Bay veteran just got a major upgrade to his bathroom free of charge. A widower and rehabbing after a stroke, he needed a shower rather than a tub so he could move about easily. A simple gesture that makes all the difference.
They shocked me by coming in with a cake and said that you won. And I said, are you sure this isn't a scam? I mean, because you don't win anything.
But now being able to have that new shower system in his house is giving him a little bit more of that freedom, that independence back that he needs and he deserves.
And the Army veteran says he'll gain some much-needed independence with the transformation. That's a gift you can't put a price on. Coming up, how a veteran who saw the worst found a way to refocus.
And now he's helping other veterans to do the same. You'll meet this hometown hero when Local 5's Salute to Veterans comes right back.
Local 5 special series Hometown Heroes often discovers that veterans are called to serve even in civilian life.
Our Local 5's Caitlin Corbett back with us once again for another story of a veteran who embodies that dedication to service. Caitlin.
Yeah, when you look at Ryan Bodwin, you might notice his well-groomed beard. But as I've learned, there is much more to this week's Hometown Hero than meets the eye.
You might know him as the man with the most benevolent beard in America, but there's much more to Ryan Bodwin's story. It begins in the U.S. Marine Corps.
I mean, the Marine Corps is an attitude and swagger, and that spoke to me directly. It's a cult in a way. The largest gun club in the world, and that brotherhood is very strong.
5 years in and a deployment to what's known as the Triangle of Death in Iraq, Bodwin saw his fair share of combat.
I mean, war is a lot of boredom waiting for action. When the action comes, the action's intense. I miss that. Obviously there's not fun parts to it, but there's no intensity like that.
And what do you do when you transition back to civilian life? That intensity gone.
Adjusting to realizing that, I was going from combat where you're a warrior, all that intensity that is attractive. Now I'm sitting at a desk. Now I'm sitting in a cubicle. And this is what life is going to be like.
That was when Bodwin realized he was having trouble coping, adjusting to the real world. But Bodwin was determined that wouldn't be his life. And that change started on a veterans hunting trip.
That event, kind of propelled my direction. I picked up a camera the next year. And I didn't have a nice camera. It was a point and shoot like Casio. But people were saying to me, you have the eye. You can't teach that. I went and bought better equipment, and the next thing you know, I was like, I'm quitting my job.
Feeling he had combined all of his passions into one career, Ryan Off the Grid photography and videography was born. It was this veteran's path to finding himself again. And now he wanted to help other veterans do the same.
Realized I needed to go back, come full circle, and take vets. It's not even just vets. Sometimes it's kids or Gold Star kids or sick kids, or just people that deserve an opportunity to go do this, to relax, to have no pressure.
High Point Adventures, Bodwin's nonprofit organization that, like Bodwin says, gives others an opportunity to take a hunting trip like he once did, one that changed his life.
It's a constant process. If I'm struggling, I can call a vet that I took, or vice versa, and you'll see that. Or somebody will call me and say, hey, so-and-so from this hunt, something's up. We'll notice it. And you're building this network, support network, throughout the country. And just seeing that develop is kind of special.
And so for all of these reasons, the man behind the beard, Ryan Bodwin, earned Wall's Most Benevolent Beard Award in 2022, receiving a nice check for his nonprofit. And while facial grooming, hunting, and photography are all passions for this combat veteran, it's about the bigger picture.
It's not the answer to the mental health crisis in the veteran community. It's something that, if it's working on a small scale or a large scale, it doesn't matter. If one guy is pulled out of the darkness, it's worth it, right?
And if you would like to connect with High Point Adventures, you can find more information at our website at wearegreenbay.com.
Just wonderful stories. Thank you, Caitlin. And this year, the community of De Pere has a new Veterans Memorial.
That memorial was dedicated by the city and De Pere VFW Post 2113 just days before Independence Day earlier this year. Now, organizers say that they were bolstered by the turnout for this dedication, and you can visit that monument in all of its glory at the city's VFW Park. It is on Grant Street in De Pere.
And what a glorious hour of tribute it's been here at Local 5. We thank you for joining us for our Salute to Veterans.
And we thank all of our special guests who are here with us in studio today for sharing their stories. And thank you to every veteran for your service. We will see you back here again tonight for Local 5 News at 10. Until then, have a great night.
Local 5 News was proud to bring you Salute to Veterans, honoring those who served. Thank you for watching.